So I said close to $100,000 by the end of this year. I do not think we drastically bust through $100,000 anytime super soon, maybe in December. But I think we're going to start to flirt with and start to pound against that resistance at $100,000. And then I said next year, 2025 is going to be a big year for Bitcoin. We're going to break 100K with authority. There's nothing but thin air up there. It's going to go into serious price discovery. And I think Bitcoin lands somewhere between 250,000 to $1 million. So I think Bitcoin remains volatile, especially to the upside, which implies also a little bit to the downside. So is 30% possible? You bet your butt it is. You bet your butt it is, but that's because we're going to the moon first.
Mallers highlights $100,000 as a psychologically and technically significant price point. Many early investors, or OGs, who bought Bitcoin at much lower prices often take profits at such milestones, contributing to sell pressure. Mallers predicts that while Bitcoin might face resistance at $100,000, it's only a matter of time before it breaks through. He anticipates 2025 to be a breakout year, with Bitcoin entering price discovery mode. Beyond $100,000, Mallers foresees Bitcoin's price soaring to anywhere between $250,000 and $1 million as the market experiences explosive growth. He reminds viewers of Bitcoin's inherent volatility, likening it to the pulse of a living organism. Volatility, he argues, is a sign of life and growth. While price drops of 30% or more are possible, these corrections are part of Bitcoin's journey to unprecedented heights.
Please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. You can also check out our other videos on cryptocurrencies and the overall digital asset space and drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Everything you do helps with the YouTube algorithm and immensely contributes to the channel's growth. Thanks and enjoy the video.
People ask me all the time, Jack, why does the Bitcoin price go down? Well, it's very simple. The Bitcoin price goes down when more people are selling than buying. The Bitcoin price goes up when more people are buying than selling. That is a joke, but it's the truth. That's what a market is, especially a free one. Bitcoin's the most free market in the world. It's a return to first principle thinking. It's back to the basics. Bitcoin goes down when more people want to sell it than buy it. That's what happened this weekend. That's what happened today. Now, why would these people want to sell? I don't know. You'd have to ask them. But if you're asking me to guess, here's my best guess. When Bitcoin goes through a halving, that means the new supply of Bitcoin is cut in half. That means the mining reward, the reward miners get for producing new Bitcoins and finding Bitcoin blocks, gets cut in half. That means if the Bitcoin price doesn't double on the day that their reward gets cut in half, they start losing significant amounts of money. Now, did Bitcoin double on the halving day? No. Bitcoin, in fact, stayed around the same price range for all summer, right? If you guys remember, Bitcoin was jumping around between 40 and 60,000 for many months. Now, if you take half of a miner's revenue, half of their money away, what's going to happen? They're going to get in a lot of deep trouble. I was going to curse, kid show. They're going to get in a lot of trouble. So what we see through every post-halving cycle in Bitcoin is a lot of businesses and a lot of miners become distressed. And what happens when these miners become distressed? They start becoming Bitcoin sellers. They're taking their treasury, they're taking every single Bitcoin they mine, and they're selling. Just for simplicity's sake, let's say every single miner pre-halving kept half of the Bitcoin that they mined and put it away for savings, and they sold half of it for expenses. Well, after the halving, if you cut it in half, you're taking away the Bitcoin that they can save, and they're just selling it all. And then they're taking the treasury that they were saving and they're selling it all. And so usually you see distress selling post-halving, and that lasts, 6 months, 9 months, and then Bitcoin goes when it runs out of sellers. So that's for one. And the other is, I think $100,000 is a significant price for Bitcoin. I think you're going to see a lot of sell pressure there because it is such a round number. The biggest sellers in every Bitcoin bull run are profit takers. You always, and we can see this on the blockchain. We can see this with data, is you always see OGs, early folks, like myself that bought Bitcoin at $10, $50, $1,000, taking profit. Am I selling? Did I sell any Bitcoin over the weekend? You guys know the answer to that? No, I didn't sell any Bitcoin, but we can look at the data and we can see that other people did. We can see that other people did. So I think it's a combination of resistance at 100,000. There's a philosophical resistance, mental resistance. There's also physical resistance in the order book. And I think that there's a lot of distressed businesses and miners out there that are living in a post-halving world that are trying to make ends meet because Bitcoin is not in the hundreds of thousands of dollars yet. So I said close to $100,000 by the end of this year. I do not think we drastically bust through $100,000 anytime super soon, maybe in December. But I think we're going to start to flirt with and start to pound against that resistance at $100,000. And then I said next year, 2025 is going to be a big year for Bitcoin. We're going to break 100K with authority. There's nothing but thin air up there. It's going to go into serious price discovery. And I think Bitcoin lands somewhere between 250,000 to $1 million. I think Bitcoin is going to drop more than 30% at some point in the future because I think it's going to appreciate that much. Bitcoin is volatile. Volatility is life. Listen, if you guys think about in medical, when you go to the doctor, they check your pulse, they check your heart rate. What does a healthy human look like? Looks like this. It looks volatile. It means you're alive. Volatility is life. What does a dead person look like? No volatility, no life. So I think Bitcoin remains volatile, especially to the upside, which implies also a little bit to the downside. So it's 30% possible. You bet your butt it is. But that's because we're going to the moon first. ETFs, they don't speculate. Like BlackRock is not speculating on Bitcoin. They don't have a directional opinion. Maybe some other fund does. Maybe Larry Fink personally does. But the iBit product, they take in the capital and they're a vehicle to then buy the Bitcoin. So they don't speculate. They don't buy dips. They just take in their customers' capital and they execute the order.
Mallers acknowledges the emotional challenges of investing in Bitcoin, especially during price corrections. His advice is blunt yet empowering. Focus on the bigger picture. Bitcoin's long-term trajectory far outweighs temporary dips. He encourages investors to embrace Bitcoin's volatility as a necessary feature of its growth. He also highlights the broader societal implications of Bitcoin ownership. In a world of economic uncertainty and fiat currency debasement, Bitcoin offers a path to financial sovereignty. Mallers sees Bitcoin as not just an investment, but a movement, a way to reclaim control over one's financial future.
I think collateralized loans in Bitcoin are a huge deal. Huge deal. Why do I think that they're so cool? Because listen, Bitcoin is close to $2 trillion market cap. That is $2 trillion of new wealth, new capital that's been created for people, right? 15 years ago, Bitcoin owners and holders have made $0. 15 years later, today, Bitcoin investors, holders, owners have made $2 trillion. That's a lot of money that people have made that they want access to, but they don't want to sell the Bitcoin. How do you get access to the wealth without selling the Bitcoin? You get a loan. And that's the same thing in other assets too. How do you get access to the wealth of your home without selling your house? Let's say, for example, I wanted access to this house and its wealth, but I also need to sleep in it. What would I do? I would get a mortgage. I would get a loan. So I think Bitcoin-backed lending is huge. Now, it's volatile. So you have to be responsible. You have to be an adult. You have to do math. Do not do it irresponsibly. Make sure that it's with an institution that you trust. It's not be hypothecating. All of those normal checks and balances. But I think Bitcoin lending is massive because everyone wants to hold Bitcoin. The number one rule, Saylor said, never sell your Bitcoin. But you got to get access to the wealth because there's a lot of new wealth created and people want access to it. Bitcoin goes down and I pay a bill, that's unfortunate. But it also helps when Bitcoin goes up and I pay a bill because then, listen, let me tell you guys something. I think, and this isn't even I think, this is just according to math, DCAing, as much as I love it and I'm a fan of it and I really encourage people to do it, the correct financial thing to do is just to take all of your money and put it into Bitcoin. And I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. If Bitcoin, listen, let's say you had $10 million of cash, of US dollars, and you had it in 2009. If you were to say, I'm going to DCA my $10 million from 2009 to 2024 into Bitcoin, you would have DCA'd all the way up to the top. Do you know what the better strategy would have been? Is just take the $10 million in 2009 and just buy Bitcoin immediately with all your money. And yes, sometimes it's going to dip, but most of the time it's going to go up. And if you think you're going to time Bitcoin, you're not. You're not. You're not. And if you look at the data, most of Bitcoin's appreciation is in short time frames. Like, for example, Bitcoin just went from 60K to 90K plus in like 10 days. You either owned it or you didn't. And if you were like DCAing, you were better off just taking all the money that you were DCAing and just throwing it all into Bitcoin. So my philosophy is there's a money that only goes down, there's a money that only goes up. I'm going to own all of the money that only goes up. Why would I own any of the money that goes down? If the money that goes up, sometimes it goes down a little bit before it keeps going up. Yes. What if I pay a bill when it goes down a little bit? I don't know. Don't be a bitch. Kid show. Grow up. Who cares? It's nothing like, let's go. What are we talking about? We're all getting debased. The media is lying to us. We gotta grab life by the kid show and own this thing. That's my speech on it. I think that owning Bitcoin is legit. Obviously, I think that's not a Ponzi. I'm a fan of it. And I think his operating company is performant at doing that. Think about it that way. How much is it worth to be really good, arguably the best in the world at buying the best performing thing in human history? Probably really valuable, right?
Mallers is optimistic about Bitcoin's role in reshaping global finance. He sees it as a transformative asset that will continue to disrupt traditional financial systems. As adoption grows, Bitcoin will unlock new opportunities for individuals and institutions alike. His message is clear. Bitcoin is not a speculative bubble or a passing trend. It is the best performing asset in human history, backed by a robust and transparent system. For Mallers, the decision to own Bitcoin is not just financial, it's philosophical.
Please like and subscribe my channel.